Hello and welcome everyone to our presentation for the tool for agile teams or tools for agile teams. And this is our presentation about Agile Hive at Siemens Smart Infrastructure and how a tool for agile teams helped us progressing in our business agility. My name is Yannick Müller. I am an agile coach and Scaled Agile Framework program consultant. And you, Patrick?
Yeah, well, my name is Patrick Dihr. I'm a Scrum Master, also in Siemens, together with Yannick, and I'm also an SPC, so this program consultant. That's the same part as Yannick has.
Let's quickly discuss facts and figures about smart infrastructure so that you have an idea where we are coming from. So smart infrastructure generated 17.4 billion revenue in fiscal year 2022. And we have approximately 72,000 employees that are working for SI, smart infrastructure, around the globe. Smart infrastructure IT is then an internal service provider, which we see here on that one exactly. So we are an internal service organization and we are providing tools and applications that are used by mostly internal smart infrastructure employees. For example, to create offers of smart infrastructure products or do service business, execute service business at the customer site. Those are tools that are used and provided by our department. We have approximately 600 employees around the globe again, and we provide 70 internal services. Out of those 70, approximately 70% are using agile methodologies, applying Scaled Agile Framework, amongst others. So let's have a look at today's agenda on the next slide. We are telling you our transformation story. So this is a first glance on the agenda of this presentation as well. With the start of the Agile transformation at Smart Infrastructure IT, we kicked off our presentation, or we will kick it off here on the left-hand side. Then first teams wanted to form an Agile Release Train because they suddenly noticed that they have dependencies between themselves and they needed some synchronization points. So that was all bottom-up, a bottom-up approach, grassroots initiatives. Soon we have then realized that the standard Jira functionality is not really sufficient for our SAFe setup. So we decided to go for the implementation of Agile Hive. This setup we want to demo to you today in a live demo. Then we are focusing our efforts today on this art transformation. That's the title there. And there we want to form real agile release trains along our value streams of smart infrastructure. So bring teams closer together. We are talking about fusion teams. So colleagues from IT, colleagues from business, bring them closer together where it makes sense. We hope to achieve big next steps in our enterprise agility with forming those real arts, like SAFe explains arts and like SAFe intends to set up arts in an organization. And that's the enterprise agility on top right, our target, where we want to go. So let's kick it off with the next slide. Where do we come from? Beautiful, slow animation. We come from, let's start 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, we have been in the middle of our ITIL implementation, the IT infrastructure library we implemented then. We realized that we have to talk the same language as our business colleagues. So implementing this common language or the ITIL service management processes, that was a real big step forward in talking the same language. That really helped in our situation back then. It was a very important first step. Then back then we still had quite a constant change of requirements towards our products, towards the applications that we are providing. And an ever increasing pace were one of the biggest challenges. So those were the biggest challenges back then. We had a lot of requirements coming our way. We didn't align too frequent. We were working in waterfall methodology. Therefore, it was maybe 5 months working and then only checking if it's the right thing to do. And every little decision had to go through various panels in our company. So we had steering committee meetings, we had change advisory boards, change approval boards. The SIIT management back then wanted to talk about agile methodologies already, but they faced a lot of resistance. That's something we don't know, so let's not try something new. It's working somehow today. It took us another year, I think, when suddenly our R&D colleagues, the research and development teams, they became very successful with Scrum. And then it started to spill over into different departments. Everyone heard about this new methodology that works quite well, and you get much faster feedback loops. So some pilot teams in SIIT started to work with Scrum. They were implementing agile methodology. Most probably, if we can go back just for a second, that was how it felt like back then. So we were just kids on this playground, no rules, no defined playground, some satchels at the ground as goalposts. So that was our field back then. Thanks, Patrick. Our first pilot teams have then realized very quickly that they have dependencies to other teams, and those dependencies made their lives with simple Scrum quite hard. So that was the point when we decided to go for Agile Release Trains, and we introduced the Scaled Agile Framework. So this was at the time when we started to train our people. We created a learning portfolio. We hired external coaches to help us with this transformation. We really wanted to tear down organizational silos with SAFe, but we also had quite some misunderstandings at the beginning. For example, the picture of SAFe somehow intends that product management is higher in a hierarchy than a product owner, for example, or an RTE needs to be an hierarchical boss or a disciplinary manager of Scrum Masters. So those have been some heavy misunderstandings at the beginning. And luckily, we are at the point where we understand the roles better now. So some of our teams planned their sprints together. They installed, or we had already some plugins installed on Jira, which was the advanced roadmap or easy agile roadmaps, but still it wasn't really capable of planning a PI together, a program increment. So that was when we first heard of Agile Hive. So we tried Agile Hive, and we found that it's again about this common language. So suddenly features, according to the SAFe framework, are now features as well in Jira. Before they have been called epics. That was always confusing. And that's just a little detail, but still it makes a lot of difference to collaborate. Of course, it's not just this little detail. So I think there's a lot of benefits with Agile Hive. And for that, I would hand over to you, Patrick, to show us in a live demo our setup.
Right. So, as said and mentioned by Yannick, we're still in this transformation. And if the slide is going on, I can show you what part of the transformation we are actually in. So what we see here is, and in my opinion, most of you know this slide or this graphic here, so I do not have some deep dives or whatever, but I'm just going to show you here where we are. So now we have some portfolio levels. We have the essential levels, so the team level with the teams and everything. In the portfolio, we have some epics in the essential level, then the features and all the stuff. And now that we're getting closer to the business, as Yannick mentioned, and as we get the full implementation of SAFe, we move from the portfolio configuration with the three mentioned levels to this full configuration, which is then with this additional large solution level in here. Here now it's written coming soon. In real life, we set it up on Friday, I think it was. So we finished it. So we're already a little step ahead of those slides. But coming soon is still correct because it's not yet really promoted within all the teams. So, and that's where I will build up. Sorry, that's where I will dive in and start here with my presentation of our Siemens SI real life Agile Hive as we are using it. Always remember, there are still work in progress, so not everything is already as it should be. But what we can see here is this top level portfolio. And in the portfolio, we have especially, of course, the epics and the enablers. We have one speciality here, which is, I think, that one here. So we have a third issue type here, which is an efficiency issue type. So if we want to get more efficient in whatever we're working on, we have an additional issue type. But that's just a side mark. But it is installed, it is implemented, and we're already working with it. Below the portfolio level, we have the large solution level. This is this extra level that we saw, the red one, which was mentioned with coming soon. Here it is, still quite empty because it's coming soon. And here we have, of course, then all the capabilities and enablers. So up to now, I built up 5 capabilities, and below those capabilities, of course, are then the features. But what is not yet done is the capabilities are not yet attached to one level above to the epics. So that is our large solution level with everything we see. You might remember a large solution has a duration of 1 PI. So for us, 1 PI is 6 sprints in 2 weeks, or as I should say, 6 iterations with 2 weeks. And what you see here, therefore, is all the statistics that Agile Hive brings us on all the level from large solution down. So we see on the upper right corner, we see a velocity, we see the burn story points, how many days have passed in the actual PI, business values, load versus capacity. Then here, as I already mentioned, the several capabilities and how much is done of a capability. So we see here all the features and all the stories are summed up in this capability. Means we have, it's not yet finished. Let's take a bigger one. We have 320 story points summed up in this capability. 253 are still open. 67 are done. So that's not yet a real life example, but it shows in which directions it should go. And it really shows to how it could help to keep the overview about the whole release train, about the whole large solution. And additional to that, we have then, of course, all the objectives and the risks if they are summarized up to the large solution level. So that's the overview where a solution train engineer might work with and have everything on one glance. If we
just a quick input on the solution level as well. What I think is really cool to mention too, as the solution train basically has multiple agile release trains underneath, the capabilities can spread across multiple agile release trains. So I need, for this capability of our business, I need this solution, this agile release train, and I need the second agile release train. And you could see the split exactly where Patrick is pointing now. So in this case, our capabilities are all for this program level FSM MMP, whatever that means. But you would see how many story points are distributed across different agile release trains. So that's really cool, this overview.
Yeah, good addition. Thank you very much, Yannick. So, but from this large solution level, I'd like to dive one level deeper. And here, first of all, this graphic, don't have a look at that. We have an issue with that. I show you a graphic, how it should look like at the end. We do not yet know what went wrong here, but obviously it's not as it should be. So, to mention it, it's a burn-up chart as written here, and it really shows in a very beautiful manner how far we are for this essential level. So for this program level, in this sprint and in the whole PI here. So, but as you might see, it's more or less the same setup as we had one level above. So down here, we see again all the capabilities with the attached features, and all features which are not attached to capabilities I see down here. So that's what I mentioned before. We are not yet ready with the cleanup, but nevertheless, it already shows a little in which direction it goes. So what I'd like to mention here especially is that we're really using this level also for PI planning. You see down here, we have objectives for the PI, for this Agile Release Train. We have risks. If we summarize them up, we didn't do that so far, but that might come with the next PI when we go with the whole setup. And what we have at the top here in this drop-down, all the tools we need to really do a proper PI planning beside of this overview that we see here. So let's dive in. Program board. So what we see here is all the teams. So we have 6 teams in our release train. And you see here really which feature is planned in which iteration and how the features are dependent on each other and whether the feature is in risk or not, and so on and so forth. Also, if some feature have dependency between the teams, we would see the line here going from one team into the other team. Good luck, we do not have it right now, so nothing to show there, but we see on the other level, we have stories dependent between the teams. So that's a program board, which gives an overview on which feature will be implemented at which iteration. If I go to the program roadmap, here it's more or less the same again, but shown as with a timeline here. So, and the very interesting thing here, unfortunately, is not really up to date as well, but the really interesting thing here is you see the whole feature, and in dark blue, you see how much of the feature is already done. So, well, yeah, not a lot for this time, as we're just building it up. Here it looks a little better. This PI is closed. But that's also something that we really like to introduce and use starting with the next PI when we have the whole setup. The breakout overview is really interesting then for the real PI planning. For example, from an RT, from a release train engineer view, to see where do we have dependencies on story level between the teams and how are the stories organized within the team. So you might know these 3 line colors. So green means it's a healthy dependency. Orange means we need to take care because the stories are dependent, but nevertheless in the same sprint or iteration. And red, of course, is an unhealthy dependency because this story should have been done before that one, but it comes 4 sprints after that one. So nevertheless, this one is closed, so I think here we just got an error on cleaning up the sprint. So that's something the Scrum Master could take at hand and say, hey, come on, guys, please, you need to clean up those stories. We have an issue here. But that's beautifully visible on one glance here as well. What I mentioned before, if I scroll down a little, you see those lines popping up here. So we have the country team up here, and then the DSC team here, and you see we have 5 dependencies on story level between the teams, and one is unhealthy. So one is really at danger. The Scrum Master and the PO should sit together here and discuss the dependency of this story. It's as easy as that. So we really see on one glance what's going sideways and where we need to improve within the sprint, within the PI, or within the organization if we are one level higher. So, and then here we've got the Kanban board. That's the standard board, which is also mentioned here. So that's the standard Jira board we have, and the link again back up to the large solution. I'm gonna dive one level deeper to the team level right now. So We're coming from portfolio, large solution, then we had the program level, and now we're on the team level. Program level and team level are in SAFe mentioned as essential. So not to mix up the terms here, but in Agile Hive, it's split because it's, for the handling, it's effectively two different levels. What we see as well here is that it's exactly the same setup. So we have the team members, we have the overall team progress again, we have the burn up chart, same issue, it's not working. And below we have to see the different sprints with the features and the assigned stories. So that's what we can see here on one glance. We have those 6 sprints in one PI. And at the bottom, again, we have the PI objectives. So we have here 4 PI objectives with the planned business value. And then at the sprint end, we put the actual business value and the story point used for this PI objectives. On the right side, we have the team risks. So we have those different issue types here. So a risk type, I mean, so we know it can be owned, it can be mitigated, accepted, it can be solved. So we have here 3 different types only shown because 1 is owned, 2 are really open. So those are accepted risks and they're not assigned, sorry. This one is accepted. Those 2 are not yet assigned. So they're just open risk, just in terms of we need to be aware of those risks during the whole PI. And again, here in this dropdown, I have again all the tools a team needs to do a proper PI planning. So just in advance to let you know, our teams are spread all over the world. So in one team, there might be sitting people from US, from Portugal, from Spain, from France, from Switzerland, from India, you name it. But we cannot do on-site planning all the time. So we really need to plan in Jira. So, and that's also why we have those breakout rooms on team level. It's always taking a little longer to load because it's a lot of dependencies and a lot of stories, as you can see here. So starting from top, we see here the story points planned, and we see, so the capacity, and we see here also the capacity assigned to this sprint. So looks good here, looks less good here. So we need to talk about that in the team, of course. At the time being, I have no idea what's going wrong here, but I will clarify. It's also, for me as a Scrum Master, it's really good to see, okay, there's definitely going something wrong. What is it? I need to clean up with the team. Again, all the connections between the stories. And if I scroll down, so here we see the features, by the way, with all the stories below. And if I scroll down, I see the other teams. And if I open a team here, I see also if there are dependencies between the teams. More or less the same as before, but from the team perspective. One other point is the team backlog. The team backlog is, for some reason, again, the standard Jira, how shall I say, the standard Jira view. And then I have also the active sprint here, which is also, again, the standard Jira view, but the Kanban board, which you might know, also without Agile Hive plugin. Let me wait until it's loaded again. What I'd like to show you as well, and that really helped us as well. So what we could do, how we do set up a new PI is we go to the program level, say here, create a new PI, name the PI, we say from when to when, how many iterations it takes. And the good thing here is that this PI with all the sprints is then set up in one go for all the teams below the program level. Up to now, it's not yet working on the service large solution level. Might be a change request at some point. But already this here helps really a lot to have it faster and really aligned. We have 6 teams, so it's already always an issue to align all the teams. So that helps. So that's it. That's all what we use, what we need to really have a proper PI planning. You see, we tested it now. Over the first 4 or 5 PIs were without Agile Hive. Now we tested it 10 times, and it works perfectly well for us. Of course, as always, we have some open points here. Like I mentioned, we need really to take care of this roadmap, which is not always in the best manners. We need really start now with breaking down those epics into capabilities, into features, into stories. So we really need to find there, we need to get together with all the people and define the workflows there. We also need, for example, the way this job first handling improvements. We are on that way. Not sure, Yannick, you want to say something about that? I think we have actual news here.
There's actually a slide even. We can go to that one afterwards. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's go back to that slide afterwards. And of course, we have many requests also from the teams on what they want to improve, and we will implement them step by step. But we are on a level where we can really work properly, where we see where we have issues. We can steer the teams as Scrum Masters, as RT, as the upcoming STE. So I think all in all, we're really happy with Agile Hive. Now, let me get back to the slides, which are here. What I'd like to show you here is first a proper burn-up chart. So this was a burn-up chart from the middle of last year when it still worked and we did not crash it for some reason. So we see really properly what is the plan, that's in blue, what is the ideal line, that's in gray, and what was the line that was really done. And you see here, also thanks to Hive, we were really capable to stay as close to the ideal as ever possible, I think, in my opinion at least. So that's how the chart should look like, and that's also how I as a Scrum Master or the RTs can really use it on every level and use it and steer the teams and align if needed. So where does shortest job first? Yannick.
Very cool, Patrick. Thanks for showing, first of all. That was really cool. SAFe provides a method how to compare features and epics and capabilities against each other. And they are saying we should use the weighted shortest job first. And that's today for us a workshop that we have in a digital whiteboard. So something like concept board, we are calling it. And this workshop is that we can compare each and every feature to existing other features that have already been ranked. Is this more valuable than another feature that we have implemented? And Agile Hive has the possibility to create such table views on their cloud version, but it's not yet available for our version that we are on, which is the DC data center version. So the team at Siebert Media will work on that change request if there's enough votes. So with this presentation, we of course hope that you will be voting for something like WSJF in table views for the DC version. Okay. Let's go back to the art transformation and talk about our next steps. So what you see here is someone going back to the drawing boards because our bottom-up approach and all the trainings that we have provided, they brought us forward quite a bit. Our customers, our product management colleagues, they realize the value now of following a shared strategy, following a common vision for our supporting systems. So collaboration becomes key. We're getting closer and closer. Our Siemens service technicians and project teams that are executing projects for Siemens, they shall become the focus. So that's the center of our attention, our end users of the applications. Our internal IT organization has grown organically. So over the last 20 years, there was a new demand for an application supporting a step in a big value stream, a tiny step. And then we built a new team that was looking after this application for this specific step in the value stream. And this is what we now want to change with this art transformation. We want to have a look at the broader picture, away from individual agile teams for very specific use cases to an organization that looks at the value stream end to end and supports it with its applications, so that we have an aligned shared vision where we want to go. Almost every agile team today has an own portfolio and program level in Agile Hive. So it looks hilarious. If you click that button, you see like 20 different portfolio levels. And that's what we want to bring together. We want to have only a few portfolio levels because that's company-wide. And then underneath, some large solutions, some Agile Release Trains, whatever makes sense. Yes. We hope to achieve greater business agility with these steps. And that brings us to the last picture, to the last slide. We can go back to the football reference from the beginning or through the whole course here. What you can see is small football fields, 3 small football fields in white. And this is where we are, SIIT is really great. So our teams deliver good products in their own space, in their own little football field. And we can call it the Coca-Cola League. And what we want to do with this art transformation and enterprise agility is that we want to become world champions on the yellow field that is around the whole thing. So we want our teams to become more connected, to become more as one team, let's say, bring them all together where it makes sense, share a vision, and become world champions on this big field. That was a reference towards tonight's football game because Germany is playing in the World Cup, and we wish you all good luck, all the best from Switzerland, and thank you for listening in. Thanks, Patrick, again for showing.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
And thank you for the opportunity.